Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Standard Grind. And we're just going to jump right into it, playing some Goblins on Arena. Hope everybody's having a beautiful day. We got a small update. We played Pioneer tonight. It was a lot of fun. Went 2-1 to mono. It was Rakdos Mice in Pioneer, which was really cool to see. The new Bloomborough cards affecting older formats. That was a really close match. We didn't really draw enough removal. They just had like Infuriate as a crazy card, especially when the Manifold Mouse gives the Ember Heart challenge or Double Strike, then or Trample, or both. It was really cool games. The other ones that I won 2-0 against Greasefang because I was just able to go a little bit faster than they were, and they didn't find their combo quick enough. And then I also got there versus my round one opponent who was new to Magic, had a starter deck, so I didn't feel as good to beat them. But it was cool to show them what Goblins did. I was like, look at this awesomeness. So yeah, we got the update from Arena, just downloaded, and we're going to share my screen. Here we go. Hope everybody's having a beautiful day. Appreciate y'all watching. Please hit that like button and that subscribe. It's the easiest way to show that you support the channel, and it shows me that what I do is, appreciated. If you want me to do something different, tell me in the comments. I'm always looking for recommendations, but for right now, I love just grinding standard. Whatever I do, it's got to be Goblins related. So that's the stipulation. I think Magic's more fun if you give yourself a stipulation and you focus less on the winning. This is the deck that we're currently playing. Oh, I hate wearing the headphones. It affects how I hear myself. So we got 12 1-drops with the Painter Studios, 12 2-drops, 11 3-drops, and 3 4s. The Krenko is the big reason to be playing Goblins in Standard right now. Taps to make Goblins equal to the number of Goblins you control. If you give it haste with the Howl Squad Heavy, you basically just win the game on the spot usually. Besides that, you just have an aggressive game plan with multiple lords. A lord effect is just an effect that buffs the power and toughness. This is a wannabe lord. It's only on attack. We also have Dropkick Bombers, another lord. Seer Slicer makes a bunch of tokens, as does Howl Squad Heavy. Squeeze, the best card to rebuild from a board wipe. Scamp is kind of like a build your own fling. If it gets big enough and it hits my opponent, I can just throw it at them to kill them. If we go to the sideboard, we got 4 Leon and the Void against graveyard decks, 4 Obstinate Baloth against discard decks, 3 Pyroclasm against the Go Wide decks, 4 Screaming Nemesis. So super excited to see how this goes, and let's run it back. Ranked, best of 3 in Standard. Probably going to play 5 to 7 matches. Getting ready for the energy, so we're just going to grind. Make sure everything's working. Checking it out here. Perfect. Check to play. This hand looks actually perfect. There's not a lot of discard in Standard, so we might be able to just run over my opponent if they don't have a really aggressive start. Basic Swamp, probably have removal. I'm just going to slam this Lord. If they have a cut down, they have a cut down. Fear of Isolation, pick up a land would be really good for me. No spell at all. Interesting. We're just going to go Goblin. They might have a counter spell here. So I think I want to just play it safe. Hold the Howl Squad and the Krenko in my hand. This pushes damage as wide as possible without committing like a lot of important threats. I exile the Lord, but I still have the other Lord. Or Anthem. Anthem and Lord is pretty much synonymous. Duress is good. I like Duress. You can Duress me all day, opponent. Hey, what's up? How you doing? When Green Goblin comes out, will you play it? Oh hell yeah, I will. 1000%. It's not going to be standard legal, so I'll have to try to figure out if I can play it in either Legacy or Commanders. I think as a Legend and Commander, it seems super cool, but I don't know outside of that. I'm sure there's going to be another Green Goblin that's a Goblin. If that one's a Goblin, all the Green Goblins are going to be Goblins, and that's going to be awesome. So next turn I have a Howl Squad Heavy to run to removal. Then I can play my other Howl Squad Heavy and then tap the Krenko eventually. Edict, okay. I will sack one of these. Go to combat and attack for 2. The Edict is interesting because it doesn't target, so it doesn't do me any good to sack the Firebrand before it resolves. Annex is good. They shock themselves. They go to 9. I think they die. I could be crazy, but I think they die. Especially now that I can cast this Bastronaut with haste. Yeah. And then the Scamp does this awesome thing where when it deals damage, I can sacrifice it to throw it at somebody's face. Okay. We didn't see anything. Duress, removal, and Unholy Annex makes me think that it's going to be Doomsday. Do we have, like, good outs against Doomsday? Screaming Nemesis just to push damage a little bit faster. Shave. Cut, like, Firebrands because we know they're going to bring in board wipes. Try to just like slam high impact threats that they can't block and like have to kill with targeted removal. Yeah, threats that we could run into demons without fear of blocking. Oh, no. Okay. No way. Well, this will be fine. Yeah, we have a lot of mountains in the deck. I believe that this can be okay. Yeah, they probably have Essence Scatter up. Play a Lord. Kill my Lord. Yep, exile 2. That works. That's actually good for me because this means this top card that's a land is going to be in my hand instead of exile. Exile the other Lord. Squeeze fair. Squeeze if they're scared if I have a land. Not a land. Play the Seer Slicer. Pass it over. I mean, I really like that Screaming Nemesis, though. That seems awesome. Cut down's fine. They're even the Jace Ithigi. So I think that definitely Doomsday. Doomsday is really, really good. Okay. Down tick? Yeah, that makes sense. This card's really good. Seer Slicer does not have haste. I think I discard the Screaming Nemesis. As crazy as this sounds. Yeah, 4 really hurts into control. We won game 1, but yeah, the 4 definitely hurts. For brawl builds, does the commander have to be a goblin as long as it's a goblin's deck? No, you can play. Yeah, you can play any legend and then just play a bunch of goblins. Really, I prefer. We'll do the Screaming Nemesis because I could never draw my 3rd land for the rest of this game. I prefer to have a goblin in the command zone, but sometimes it's not the. Sometimes it's not the move. Some decks want to hide it, so you could play like really any legend. But if you want to be on flavor all the way, yeah, you want to play a goblin in the command zone. This Liliana is just going to single-handedly kick my ass. Yeah, exile my creature, uptick. They pitch a land, or Tashana's. I draw an uncastable spell. In that case, Perforos Enraged. It's true, 1000%. I mean, so they came out with this card, General Kriat, and like it's a Rabble Master you can play on turn 3. The issue with Perforos is I played Perforos for a while in my other decks, and I never really made a deck. I have a mono red burn deck, but it's Heartless Egetsu, and it's just like a combo deck because I love combos. What's up, MTG? Thank you for dropping in. Do we hold this? We're going to hold this, as crazy as this sounds, because they're going to uptick this Liliana. And we want to keep this Screaming Nemesis because it's our only shot at winning. Actually, I take it back. We have no shot at winning. This Archfiend is going to kill us before the Screaming Nemesis is going to kill them, and it cannot block. Wait, what? They're just letting us have cards in our hand? Okay. This is very bad. But basically, oops. Bronze blooded. No, you're good. Yeah. No, I get what you mean. Perforos, wait. You mean the ETB shock each opponent, right? Because that one's really good. The original Theros one. Yeah, he's very, very good. There's also like the new one. There's a Through the Breach one. I'm not sure if that's the one. Yeah, the shock one. The shock one's really good. I really like the idea of that one. Like, especially if you're just trying to make a billion goblins, right? You just like kill your opponent. The issue with that deck sometimes is you don't have enough like token creation, and it's really crazy to have your Impact Tremors and your Rabble Master stapled to the same card. But it probably comes down to preference. Just like right now, it's really hard for me to choose between my Screaming Nemesis and my I'm just very dead. I just feel very dead. Okay. I'm not going to play this Firebrand because it's going to die, and then I'm going to die. Yeah, I'd rather die to combat damage. Anyways, yeah, I think Perforos is really cool. I could definitely build a deck around Perforos playing goblins on stream for sure. That would be fun. Playing control. What did we do? We brought in 3 drops and just never drew our third land. Well, let's shave on the 3 drops. And let's put the 1 drops back in. No, because then we play into the thing we were talking about. Let's play Krenko. Painters. Actually, let's just cut all of our non-creatures. Versus control, we just want pure threats. Nothing but creatures to throw at the wall. Torbrand's also awesome. Yeah. Torbrand's super sick. 4 mana, 1/4. Whenever a red source you control would deal damage, it deals 2 additional damage, I believe. Yeah. I was gonna say the fact that it's like unassuming is crazy because people look at it and they're like, "Oh, this card sucks," and you're like, "No, let me show you what's up." I think the issue is if we flood, we want this Krenko really bad. We have an amazing curve. We just need 1 land. And then another land. You have to ask quickly or the magic gods don't listen. Please, magic gods, don't fuck my face. I would like to play the game a little more today. Okay. That's a castable spell. This kind of gets my guys bigger than bigger than a 3-mana board wipe. Smack for 5. 90 Procession. Go for the throat. That gives me a death trigger. Shrinks my Scamp. Oh, but the Krenko's exiled. This wasn't a land, so if the top card's a land, it'll be their fault that I get my land drop. Not sack pass. Oh, buddy. Whoa, buddy. I'll play the Krenko now. So they have to tap out to counter it. I mean, that's fine. Shock to face. This means the Krenko resolves, and I get to still attack him. I could have attacked first, but if they do the same thing happens. I guess it gives them less information, so it's right to do it the other way, even if it doesn't change my sequencing at all. Gotta love the aggro deck in the sea of midrange. You know what? It just feels so good to put pressure on your opponent and just like, be like, okay, eventually it's going to waver. Eventually it's not going to be, they're not going to be in a position. Yeah, they definitely have a board wipe. So this Firebrand's not the greatest. However, if they don't have a board wipe, wait, should I have attacked? If I know they have a board wipe, it might be worth it to attack. Cut down, the drop kick's fine. If they have a board wipe, they wouldn't probably cut down. So I'll attack for 1. Pass the turn. Hold this Krenko. They board wipe. Deadly cover up. The sideboard and deadly cover up. Do it. Yep. They don't surgical the Krenko. Okay. So for that reason, I definitely should have attacked because they'd be at like 4 right now. Land. Looking at their fountain port. That probably means they have not a lot going on. Archfiend the draw is okay. We can fog an Archfiend for a little while. Tap the Krenko. Murder the other goblin. Okay. 1 additional creature. They have removal, otherwise they would not attack. Oh, or they have a second Archfiend. Archfiend is amazing here. And they have the Unholy Annex, so they'll be drain gaining. And I just lose in the air immediately? Okay, good game, opponent. Well played. I'll tap Krenko, make some goblins, do some attacking. They'll do some blocking. Good game. Let my opponent get the catharsis of attacking for lethal in the air. Well played. All right. Well, sometimes you play against control and you mulligan to 4, and that's just how that goes. Got to take a deep breath, reset, and keep going. Because you know what? Magic's a game of variance, and that's honestly the truth. You just got to remind yourself of that when you get frustrated. Now, what would you do? Would you keep a 1 land hand, or would you mulligan to 4 to find your second land? Let me know. I just realized the scam can proliferate the Archfiend's counters. Yes, it can. It can proliferate your opponent's Overlord counters so that they don't come off suspend as fast. Opponent is taking a mulligan. I was like, what are the chances the top card is a land and I can keep that first hand? Well, I can't keep this hand for sure. Sure. Okay. Okay, opponent. Yeah, there's a card called Render Inert where you can pay 3 mana as a sorcery to remove all counters from target permanent. You draw a card. It's a 2 colorless and a black for a sorcery. 1, 2. Do it like this because we're greedy. Oh yeah, we're greedy. Very greedy. We're gonna draw only 3 drops for the rest of the game. But if we both mulligan, I feel like versus blue-white control, we're probably favored. This is definitely blue-white control. Oh, no way. We drew the busted card. It's a mountain. Attack. Smack. Make another one. Temporary lockdown my ass. Yeah, get lost also makes sense. So if I go Lord here, I get to do some deranged things. 7 puts you to 10. I mean, I really like a Lord. Seer Slicer is ridiculously underrated. It's one of those cards that you play against it and you're like, wait, what the fuck? Why does my opponent have 5 goblins in play now? And you're like, well, you've just been like taking this damage. You're like, oh, it doesn't matter. And it doesn't even matter if you are blocking because I get the goblins anyways. So my opponent temporary lockdowns, and this is when Squee is like really dumb because this is going to be an attack for 9. 7. Sorry, can't count. Can't count. Because 5 plus 2 is 7. And then I was thinking I had an additional token, but it's only of course, it makes 1. Opponent's stock ups. Exiles. Has a blocker. Play the Howl Squad. Combat. Attacks. Yeah, and we both mulliganed. So that's how that can go sometimes. I think against like pure control, we run it back because goblins, cavern, the way that the deck's built, pretty good against opponents' removal. Seer Slicer is really against like domain and caretaker's talent, where they're gonna gain a billion life. The Baloths are for like the burn matchup or like the discard matchup. Like the burn matchup is like if we have a grindy version of the burn matchup, a game where we really think that we might be able to cast a Baloth, we bring it in. Otherwise, we just only bring it in versus discard. Wow, these hands have been like no land, no land, no land. Okay, gotta be disciplined. Bottom of the 3-drop. Start off with a haste. Hasty attacker. What's my favorite goblin? Well, so the reason I call this channel Goblin Ringleader is because I was playing a lot when the ring, like, I love Modern. I've been playing like Goblin. So Bushwhacker was my favorite goblin, and I got really tired of losing to Pyroclasm. And so the evolution of goblins for me was I went from playing Bushwhacker to playing Matron for Ringleader style goblins, where you play like a 1/1 for 3 mana and you slowly beat your opponent to death. And then you play a control game, like a mid range control, like a prison style deck almost. Very different than a traditional aggro goblins list. And so I fell in love with Goblin Ringleader because I would play these like really grindy games against like my opponent, like back when Mardu Pyromancer was a deck, right? That era. I would play these really grindy games versus these decks. And I'd be like, well, cast my Goblin Ringleader. It's my 4 mana 2/2 with haste that draws me 2 cards on average. Like, yeah, because I got really tired of dumping my entire hand out onto the field and then getting pyroclasmed. So I was like, okay, how can I play this deck that I like without losing to pyro? Like I was like, how do I beat pyroclasm? So I found Matron and I found Ringleader, and I was like, well, if I just use Matron to grab a ringleader, and I'm playing against control, right, or like a controlling deck, what I can do is instead of trying to like flood the board with as many cards as I could possibly play in a turn every turn, instead, uh, you cast a steady stream of spells that always replace themselves, and eventually your opponents will have to either outrace you, in which case you have sideboard cards to slow them down, or they're playing like a mid-range control deck and you're not going to outgrind goblins. So it's something I really fell in love with um was being able to go like matron for ringleader. Ringleader hits like a pile driver, a matron, because you would still play like the aggressive cards like War Chief and Pile Driver and Legion Loyalist, but you wouldn't play like all one drops, right? Because like you wanted to make sure that you could grind and like play through a pyroclasm. Um, and so it was kind of like a deck building evolution for me. Was I was like, well, why? Yeah, and you would still kill. What's crazy is I would still kill my opponents on average as fast as I would like, because the crazy thing about the Bushwhacker deck, right, is you would get your opponent to like a really low life total, and then nothing would happen, right? You would just like lose super fast. So to be able to have steady pressure over time means that even when your opponent gets to a low life total, you still have that ability to get those few points of damage through. If only Goblin Recruiter were legal, that would be the perfect card for that sort of deck. It's true, but I like the variance of Goblin Ringleader. It's kind of fun to be like, okay, this could be 4 lands, but then think about it. 4 lands means that you are going to draw 4 lands, and they're just on the bottom of your deck now. I'm so enamored by Goblin Ringleader that the the One Ring was something that I compared to Goblin Ringleader all the time. I was like, think about it. If you pay 4 mana and you draw 4 cards right away, and you have a 2/2 with haste, like I would have games where my opponent would be like, here's my One Ring, pass. And I'd be like, okay, you have protection, that's fine. I'll play a Goblin Ringleader, I'll draw 3 cards. I've developed my board. They've done nothing. Like their protection has worn off, right? It's crazy. It just feels so good. Sorry. So yeah, I love Goblin Ringleader. Besides Goblin Ringleader, it would probably be like Snoop, or that right now, the one that I really love is this Howl Squad Heavy card. This card is so dumb. This is my War Chief and my Rabble Master combined. So yeah, I would say Goblin Ringleader first. Definitely first in my heart. There's a bunch of others that are tied, vying for the title. Back to the game. I think I'm just gonna go Howl Squad Heavy. Sure. Bastronaut. They have a board wipe, that's fine. Exile the Scamp, probably. Oh, and also something that I should say is I've been playing modern, like grinding modern for a long time. And back when I was doing that, right, I didn't really do well often. There's a reason that I'm like 2/2 is a good result, right? Because as a brewer, I was determined to not net deck. I was determined to do my own thing. I wanted to be unique and like different in the decks that I built for goblins and like the style of cards that I played, even if it was like detrimental to me. So I would go 0-4 consistently. I would get extremely excited when I would win a game in in a match. And my brother Cole actually was the reason that I got better at Magic. He showed he was a competitive player. He wanted to win. Is Kiki? No, only Fable of Mirror Breakers in Arena. He was someone who was competitively minded, understood how to win. Right, he could win. He was very good at it, and so I would play against him because he's my brother. Right, we goldfish all the time. We just jam games constantly, and I very quickly learned what was good and what was bad. And if you're playing with your brother and your little brother's beating the fuck out of you, you're like, maybe I need to do things a little bit differently. And yeah, Opponent just concedes. Because again, exactly, this is exactly my point. We didn't really do much all game, but we just applied steady pressure over time, and eventually, opponent just can't answer it all. But yeah, I played with Cole, and Cole taught me the value of sideboarding, the value of like understanding numbers in your deck. And I was always a brewer, and I was always like somebody who liked to fidget with the cards and try to figure out powerful synergies and stuff like that. And my brother was somebody who was like understood how to learn a deck, understood how to get good at something. And so it was really cool to like take the way that his brain worked. Like he taught me how to be more concise and focused in my play, how to be like, okay, how do I get from point A to point B as fast as possible? And yeah, he really had a big impact on the way that I play Magic. Because now, you know, I understand how to win games. I understand how to end games quickly. And I get a lot of my like combo lines, a lot of my understanding of like combos and creature combo stuff from Cole. Because traditionally, I'm just an aggro player. I like to turn creatures sideways, do combat math over and over and over again. That's one of my favorite things. I think combat math is one of the most like complicated things in the world. It's beautiful. I think the combat math is like chess, which is, I'm sure, something that everybody said. All right, deep breath. Oh my God, we get to keep a 7? This is amazing. We've had to go to like 4 and 5 recently, so we're grateful, very grateful. All right, we're gonna lead it off on a scamp because it's the only thing that can really trade with the hired claw. Not that we trade with the hired claw. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. No blocks. Opponent, pump it, pump it, pump it up. They do not. They want to play a manifold mouse. A hasty creature. Oh, because it would trade. That makes sense. So what I can do now. We just slam the curve. We go, here's my lord. I'll attack. Do you want to block? I can trade with your board. I would like to take this action, though, and kill this mouse that you sought to protect. Krenko's gone forever. Kind of sad, but they don't have that mouse anymore. They have another one. At least they'll be taking less. Krenko, you gotta hit the bin, bro. Let's play this one. This one pressures and plays defense pretty well. Shift into second gear. Got a 3-4 on backup. They just concede to the Howl Squad heavy. Opponent, what are you doing? Okay, we're gonna bring in the Pyroclasms. We're gonna take out the Painter Studios. I guess 2 Painter Studios and a Krenko. Run it like that. I think Screaming Nemesis is sometimes overboarding. Screaming Nemesis is like to stop Beza and Zur enchantments from winning my opponent the game by life gaining me to them to a billion. The issue is what's going to happen. Opponent just concedes, and they're like a whole billion ranks above me. Opponent's like, no, we're not going to do this goblins guy. Yeah. I can be your goblins guide through this craziness. Can't even count that as a match. We're probably going to do 3 more matches as standard. We're going to do some Brawl EDH for y'all. General Kriat. The adventures of General Kriat shall continue. But until then, we got to fight through infinite mice and bouncing opponents. The Fervent, eh? Sounds like you play red, opponent. What bottom is Painter Studio? I don't know. Definitely gonna keep this hand. This is our only lord. Pitch the squee, I guess, because it has to attack. Bounce. Yep. So we're going to go Goblin, Sear Slicer, and slam this Howl Squad to immediately start getting as many threats as possible into play. Sultai? Sultai mid-range? Attack for 1, shift to second gear. Glissa is pretty bad. Although this means that I draw a card every turn, which is pretty good. So this will be a 3/2 that attacks. So this means that every turn I'll get through for 3 minimum. And I'll get to draw a card. It's pretty good. Shift to third. It's a pretty good spot for us. Play Shieldred, please. What more could go wrong? Opponent debating. Playing a Mossword Dread Knight. Playing a land. It's a tap one, though. They should have mortuaried before drawing, unless they were trying to do some stuff. What's the other side of the room? I get to exile the top. It's basically draw 2. It's red divination stapled to my lord. Because you're only ever attacking, usually, right? In like situations like this, you're just trying to use it as a lord. And then if you want to grind, you just draw 2 cards. You only get them to the end of your next turn, but you're playing red. If they're lands, they're lands. Cavern, Goblin. Play both my spells. We're kind of going to lose if my opponent plays a... what's it called? Deadly Cover-Up next turn. So we definitely attack. Yeah, we definitely attack like this. They block. No, we can't attack with the Lord. If we attack with... because first strike Death Touch kills the Lord before our creatures deal damage. If you could swing like this and like this, that would get through for 6, 10. But this loses... yeah, let's try it like this. Because if they first strike Death Touch, kill one of our lords, the total amount of damage goes down significantly. Okay, draw a lord. And step, get another one. Backup's plan's pretty good. Yeah, it's really nice if they board wipe. We can just have it sitting there. Okay. That was game 1. Okay. I don't think we board. I guess these control decks, we really just jammed the main deck. The build is really strong. Against mid-range or control decks, we kind of just bury them. The only time that we really want to sideboard is against decks that have either lots of super powerful combos like the bounce deck, or decks that just like beat us super fast like the mice deck. There's a lot of graveyard decks like Roots. Roots has the ability to just make a billion tokens and the tokens be really big, and then you can just fling them all at your opponent's face. Okay, this hand's pretty decent. Playing against control. Let's try it out. They have an elf on one? Okay, that's pretty good for them. Goblin. Burnout Astronaut. Turn 2, a big dude. No, attacking. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. attack first. If they want to kill it, they have to use the removal on it. And then second main, I get to play a Seer Slicer and immediately replace it. So now you have to spend a second spell on my first good spell. Alright, so play the Lord. They're going to kill it. Anoint. So I don't get a death trigger. Yeah, exile works too. Still poke for 3. Another land. Play another Lord. Go to combat. Swing 4. Another Tear Asunder. Do it. I mean, if their plan is just block with Restless Reef every turn, I'm perfectly fine with that. That'll draw us cards. And if they take 4, that's also perfectly fine with us. We're kind of going to play into a board wipe. Not the greatest, but it's what we got. If they board wipe, they board wipe. They Tidebinder one of them. This shows us they don't have a board wipe because they would not Tidebinder. They would wait to cast a Tidebinder after their board wipe. Okay, they feel like they've stabilized by turning off one of our Seer Slicers. We're grinding, drawing lands, the Gathering. 1, 2, 3. Is this the one? This is the one that's turned off. Well, opponent, I'm going to pressure your life total. Do you block? I would love for my goblins to die. Trading the Tashanas for the Seer Slicer is that's nice. So I'm going to draw 2 cards from this. And that's kind of amazing. And they're both amazing. Okay. Play this mountain and the Howl Squad. Get that Howl Squad out there. Instead, Seer Slicer makes a token, and we're at max speed, baby. You know what max speed means? Good game. Yes, that's what it means. Good game. Okay. Well, let's say 2 more matches, and then we will be going to the brawl, the world of the EDH men and women, and they them. All right. Now we will play another game. All right, let's do it. Jumping right back at it. Oh, I never asked. What's your favorite goblin? I was too busy trying to explain the origin story of Goblin Ringleader as my favorite goblin. And we're doing it. We're doing it live. It sounds pretty good. We get to go 1, 2, 3. We can go squee if they board wipe. Or we can save it. Save it for after the board wipe. Turn 1 Llanowar Elves. They might be a Collector's Cage deck, in which case we kind of want to get the Scamp down. Scamp's better if they're trying to ramp into creatures. They only have 4 cards left, so if we can use this Scamp to kill one of their important creatures, we're going to be in really good shape. Parting guest, you gift a fish? You just gave me a fish because you'd rather it be a fish than a goblin? That makes sense, opponent. I respect that. Well, let's play this Lord. Nothing bad's gonna happen. We're just racing. Is opponent playing bunnies? I did lose to bunnies at locals. It is. It looks like rabbits. Selesnya are the rabbit colors. Play the Verge. Does this push the most damage? No, this pushes the most damage. All except this one. It's just a lot. Shelter by Ghosts is my nemesis. Opponent, Shelter by Ghosts. Say it with me. Oh my god. We got the first letter right. Now, tell me, how is this card a modern created card? Like, I really don't understand. Like, this feels like anti-power creep. Yeah, 2/2 with first strike and lifelink is great for 2 mana and with upside, sure. But like, it just is incredibly meh. And maybe I'm just crazy and cringe. What's my favorite paper deck? I really like playing Pioneer Goblins right now. Being able to use Fable of the Mirror Breaker to discard a Chain Whirler and then call the Death Dweller back to have it have Death Touch and Plague Wind your opponent's board. Really hot. Besides that, I really like Modern. If I had to pick a paper deck that's not Goblins, I'd probably say like Amulet Titan or like some deck like that. But I've never played those decks. Just watched them, and I think that they look really cool. But I really like Pioneer right now. If I had to rank Goblins right now, it would go Legacy or Pioneer Goblins is the most fun right now. Then Legacy, Legacy's really, really, really fun. Then Standard, those are all really close. And then Moderns right here and Pauper and EDH is up at the top too because I love EDH. Krenko, Ting Street, Kimpin, so fucking dope. Yeah, let's just play this Lord. It's the wrong thing to do, but we're gonna do it. Play this Lord, play this thing, push the attackers. Pass it over. Setting up for next turn, we can cast another Squee with 2 Lords. Wilt Leaf Liege is pretty epic. Yeah, Krenko's pretty awesome. In Commander, my favorite deck is probably Crush the Bloodbraided. Not exactly a Goblins deck, but it's just Jund Sacrifice synergies. And it's just like it's just a bunch of like cards that don't really look like they would be amazing, but when put together somehow they win games. And it's just so much fun to play. Heartless Agetsu is another one that I love. General Creat that I play on the channel is a lot of fun. I also really enjoy what's it called? Wart Boggart Ante is a 4-mana 3/3 with Fear, which means it can't be blocked except for by black and or artifact creatures. And at the beginning of your upkeep, you pick up a goblin card from your graveyard. So you just like pick up your best goblin out of your graveyard every turn, and with sack outlets, you just like sack your Muxus every turn. It doesn't look great, but like it plays so well, and I love it. Thinking about how I'm going to do this, I really don't want to attack into this Seraphic Steed, so I'm going to do some attack. Give both of them flying. Deal them 6. Put them to 4. They both die. I get 2 death triggers, meaning I pseudo draw 2 cards. Unless they're lands. Okay, that one was a land. This one isn't. Sphere Slicer is pretty good. I have a Squee to go super wide next turn to try to go around this unicorn. Okay, another paw patch. I mean, the Wiltleaf Liege, that's a tongue twister. Giving the Seraphic Steed +2/+2 is very strong. All right, attacking, first strike, lifelink. I think my 4/5 eats that. Double Lord is really good. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. They don't even let me tap my Cranko. All right. Well, on the draw, we're not going to be aggressive, so these Painter Studios aren't going to do much. I guess we can keep one. Oh, because we don't have 4 Pyroclasm. Our sideboard is incredibly focused. We have high impact cards that we're trying to draw in certain matchups, and if they're not as high impact as they need to be, then we don't board them in. Pyroclasm is insanely impactful. Leyline is really good. Baloth's really good, and Screaming Nemesis is amazing in the certain matchups. Against a really aggressive deck, you put a Screaming Nemesis in front of a creature, and they really can't attack, lest they face the wrath of the burn. We were commentating on Pro Tour. We actually did some commentary of Pro Tour Gatecrash. We muted the YouTube video and we just talked over the match, just me, myself, and I. And yeah, we put it up as a video today. So if you're interested in old Pro Tour coverage, go check that out. That was a lot of fun. And yeah, we watched Boros Reckoner versus Falconwrath Aristocrat. And that was like prime Magic, if you ask me. So much fun. All right. Opponent leads us off. Paw Patch Recruit and passes. I'll slam a Scamp, pass it over. Appreciate y'all dropping in. Thank you for being here. We're doing some standard grinding with goblins. We play only goblins on the channel. That's all we're going to do. It's a passion. So we're going to play this Bastronaut. They could block. They probably won't. They smite it so it dies. And is exiled so I don't get the damage, which is awesome for them. Very important so that I don't get to kill this Paw Patch Recruit. It only puts a counter on another creature. So if you target it now, if I target one, there will be 2 instances of a counter. So the best thing I can do is get these off the table. Right? Yeah, because I don't have a Lord right now, and we can definitely grind better than they can. For example, this Howl Squad is going to give this Cranko haste next turn. I'm going to win. Thankfully, they don't have 2 lands, because if they had 2 lands untapped, they could play Llanowar Elves and then tap the cage. I guess that wouldn't have worked, because they need to have 3 different powers. Yeah, so it would be a 1/1. Yeah, so next turn for sure they can do this, but I don't know. Because we're going to do this. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Combat. Ticket your bombat. Sing songs. That distracted combat. 3, 2, 1. This one, this one. 2 attacks. Tap. Contact. Oh, yeah. They're trying to figure out why I didn't tap it before declaring my attacks. And that's because I think that the Cranko is going to die. And being super aggressive isn't worth not having 1 extra token. That 1 extra token could be the difference. Counter there. Eats one of them. Shifting up in the gears. Now that collector's cage could be a board wipe. If they go Llanowar, oh, it still doesn't work. They would need a 3-drop. Okay, this makes a 3/3. So now they have 1, 2, and 3. They can put a counter on the 3 to make it a 4, and it works. So they can do that at instant speed. Maybe that's what they're playing towards. But I don't think they should do that because I'm going to do this. And they're like, wait, you didn't do that last time. Why would you do that this time? And then I'm like, well, wait. I'm going to do this. And they concede. Well, sometimes your opponent plays a Krenko and they tap it and they make a billion goblins. Sometimes your opponent plays 2 Krenkos. And they tap it to make a million goblins. Good games, opponent. Well played. All right, one more match. Then we go play some General Kriat, the Bolt Bringer. Boom, ba-doom, ba-doom, ba-doom. Oh, you're seeing my computer top arena part glitch out. That happens to the best of us. After you play an arena for a while, the client starts to break down, and we don't really understand why. I mean, we do. It's because it's a small indie company, Wizards of the Coast. Papa Hasbro really doesn't give them enough lunch money to make it to the design store and back, so sometimes things don't exactly work. All right, putting the hair up so we can focus up for this last match. Hell no. Much better. Bottoming, the one that deals us damage. Play the Verge. Make them think we're mice. Shadowy Backstreet looks like Esper Bounce. Now I draw the 1-drop A. I'll play the Sear Slicer. Because next turn I can go Lord, Bastronaut. If they don't have a creature. This looks like Domain. Creature replaces itself. Play the Bastronaut. Shift into gear. Number 2, make a dude. Pass it over. Do you do midweek magic? Well, what's midweek magic? Is that like FNM, where you like? Is that the day that you play magic in paper? I play a lot. I play a lot of paper magic. I play magic 5 days a week at LGS's. It's like I don't want to say it's like I call it the grind because I love doing it. Like Mondays is when I play modern or standard. Then Tuesdays is Pioneer. I actually just played Pioneer tonight. And then Wednesdays is modern, Thursdays is modern, Fridays legacy, or draft, or standard, whichever store I go to. But yeah, I love playing Magic and paper. And then on the weekends, if there's big tournaments, I try to hit those. You know, it's a lot, and I love it. I love playing Magic. I love playing Goblins. It's like the best chess that I could ever ask for. My favorite thing. Every Wednesday, there's a few midweek Magic challenge. Then they're free. Oh, I don't. No, I didn't know that was a thing. Every Wednesday, there's a new midweek challenge. Free. Last week, that was to make a standard Pauper deck. Okay, that's really cool. Yeah, I'll definitely look into that because I love brewing ideas and things that inspire me to do things. Definitely not going to attack. That's a silly thing to do. We didn't hit a land, which is pretty bad. Yeah, I definitely will love to look into those because I like anything to get your mind brewing and creating an idea. I'm always trying to make new videos and stuff. So I appreciate that. Last week, yeah, I really I like Pauper too. Pauper Goblins is super cool. You can play either an infinite combo or one of the fastest burn decks I've ever seen. All right, attacking with the Beza. Interesting play. Maybe they don't want to give me infinite time, which I agree with. You don't want to give my deck a lot of time. Meh. No attacks. I don't want to lose it. Don't forget Affinity. Affinity is so cool in Pauper. You're right. It's scary how good Affinity is in Pauper. 1000%. It's one of those decks that you forget about until you get your face destroyed by a Galvanic Blast. Or a Galvanic No. Yeah. I just say Galvanic and I forget the rest of the word. The 1 mana deal 4 if you have Metalcraft. This is where we lose. We're not going to block. We're just going to take it. We're going to see what we got. Land, please. Okay. It's not a land. So we go digging. If we hit a land, the issue is we don't have this house squad in play. If we had it in play, we could hastily tap our Krenko and try to do some stuff. The issue being that Zur is the best deck in the format. And yeah, giving your overlords a lot of abilities is pretty strong. Pretty strong. No attacks. No lands, so I'm just going to concede. I know I cannot play those cards. They're going to activate both of those. It's going to be bad. However, we get to bring in Screaming Nemesis and take out Painter Studios. And that's a pretty clean swap. Just get super, super aggressive. Try our best to get the Screaming Nemesis to take damage so that they don't get to gain a billion life. And then it just becomes a true race, which we should be able to win. That's the hard thing, is trying to figure out how to attack domain is really tough because they did a good job making sure that the deck kind of is just in a league of its own, being able to outclass all the other decks with the life gain, with the way that it rounds the corner, the way that it controls the game until it rounds the corner. It's very strong. Oh, it's the end of the variance tonight. It can feel it. Okay, I'll take this variance. Opponent, you're not ready for this hand. Is the Baloth worth it? Yeah, it is. If you're able to bring it in against discard, they're going to bounce the discard spells a billion times, and to be able to, on turn 1, get a 4/4 is pretty good. And, like, if they have a go for the throat, they have a go for the throat. But they are using it on the spell that you got for free. Also, it's a slot. It's basically a buffer. If you have, like, all good cards in your hand you don't want to discard, you just swap one of them out for a Baloth, and then it makes the decision of the card you have to discard easier. Also, if your opponent bounces it back to your hand, if in the future they make you discard it at any time, you can just discard it again. So it's pretty busted. Also, 4 life is sometimes just really important. And you play enough green sources, sometimes you don't want to, but your cavern can name Beast, I believe its type is, and just slam it down that way. Up the beanstalk, drawing those cards. Definitely got a Day of Judgment, I feel. So what I'm going to do is do this. Combat. All attack. Yeah. Pump it up. Now they're going to tap out for a temporary lockdown. Day of Judgment. No, there's a temporary lockdown. And we slam the Screaming Nemesis. We slam the Screaming Nemesis. Pass it over. They Sunfall. We draw land. We go Lord. No, we just go Lord. Now we draw land, we jump both our dudes, and we win. Oh, my contacts. Fucking. Okay. Yes, I wear glasses. They're over there. But I don't wear them. Because I'm dumb. Okay. This is a 2-turn clock. It's just the firebrand. Elspeth might. No? Are we going to steal a game? No. No, we're not. It was wishful thinking. I know. They go to 5. Wow. This is so incredibly close. So incredibly infuriating that I'm not able to kill them here. So I'm just going to pass. Say, don't have anything. Activate that other one. Go to combat. That's fine. I will be blocking the fuck out of these. This one has a Bastronaut, just double Bastronaut and a Beans. Spot removal. Yeah. So now we just go ping. And now no damage is dealt, so they won't gain any life. Interesting. Well, sometimes you get the butt end of the variance. Why not attack with Desert? I guess it's a good blocker. Oh, I was so close. I guess playing the second Screaming Nemesis was bad. Should have kept it as a hasty threat to follow up the first one. So that was a punt. Let's say that's a punt for me. Is it possible to make a Goblin control deck? Yeah, 1000%. That's what it is in Legacy. You're basically like a prison deck. You play a bunch of different hate pieces, and you lock your opponent out of being able to play the game by killing them with either Chalice, Blood Moon, Wasteland plus Rishadan Port, or you play like a combo. Usually what you do is you play Mana Denial, and then over time, after your opponent, runs out of cards they can cast for free or for 1 mana, you keep them on such low resources that you're able to play the game and they're not. And eventually you get to 6 mana, you play your Muxus, and you take over the game. So now we're going to... So first off, if you're watching here just for Standard, thank you for being here. I really appreciate you. Please hit that subscribe button and the like. It shows me that you appreciate what I do, and it helps with the algorithm, and that means the world to me. I'm trying to do this full time, just goblins on the channel forever, and if you appreciate that, just let me know.